Hey guys, welcome to Greybeard Gaming, the one place where you can get a definitive review of Death Stranding. On the internet, of course, you're going to see divisive headlines about whether or not the game is a masterpiece or complete terrible trash that should be thrown out in the nearest receptacle. But only this guy can tell you the truth, and that's what I'm here to do. I have now played it, I've beat it, and I can tell you, finally, if it is good. It is. It's actually really good. I liked it. But there's also ways that it's terrible. And I think that's why people hate it. It's because it's also sometimes terrible. And so I'm going to explain both of those things. But you're going to have to stick around and watch to find out why. So first off, we need to get into the plot. And if I'm going to talk about the plot, I'm just going to spoil the shit out of it. So I'm going to need you to just go ahead and skip ahead. If you haven't played the game yet and you want to, go to this point in the video and just pick it up from there. Well, if you're still here, let's talk about the complete batshit crazy storylines that exist in this game. The very first thing they get you to do, they being a guy wearing a skeleton mask and a dude with stitches across his head named Die Hardman and Deadman, respectively, well, they ask you to take the body of the President of the United States of America, now named the United Cities of America, up the mountain to an incinerator to burn her body before she blows up and turns into a ghost. Oh, by the way, she's also your mom. Yeah, so that was a good start to kind of figure out what kind of a game this was going to be. But from there, you start meeting all these other zany characters. You find a zombie mom who has a ghost baby attached to her via a ethereal umbilical cord who, pretends to drink milk from her. It's weird. And then there's also a guy named Hartman who kills himself every 21 minutes on purpose, having his heart stop, and then defibs it after 3 minutes to bring him back from the dead after he's had a chance to search for his wife and daughter in the afterlife. Yeah, the characters and plot lines are kind of interesting. I'll give them that. But the main story, if these were batshit insane, the main story is well, it's evolved. It's Golbat insane. I don't know. I'm not good at jokes. I need to hire a writer or something. So in the main storyline, you, Sam Porter Bridges, better known as Norman Reedus, keep having these weird memories every time you link up to your BB, the little baby that hangs out on your chest pod. And every time you do this, you sort of get more and more glimpses into what you think is the BB's past. And what you eventually find out is that this guy, known as Cliff, or the combat veteran that you've run into now in a couple different boss encounters. Well, he wanted to get his BB out of this medical facility, and the director, who you met at the beginning of the game, Die Hardman, was actually his friend, and he told him, well, take the gun, you can get out of here. It all went to didn't work out. He got shot, ended up back in his room, failing to get out of the facility, at which point the President of the United States orders her man, Die Hardman, to shoot his friend in the face right then and there, and he says, no, I'm not doing it, alright? And at that point, she grabs the gun and she shoots him, and she shoots the baby too, and it's a little rough. It's a little rough, to say the least, shooting a baby in a video game, but that's what happens. And that's the point that you find out that your mom actually has two selves, one of which is a spirit self that exists in the afterlife, and one of which is a mortal being that lives in the real world, but they both interact with each other in some way, and one gets older at a different rate. It's crazy. But either way, she has her spirit self grab the baby out of the afterlife, shove it back into the real world, where she then resuscitates it and raises it as her own. Yeah, that's right. We said earlier that she's your mom. That's you! You were the baby! That's why you had the memories. Holy it's super crazy. But now you know that your little BB, turns out, he is not even... He wasn't back then. He is now. He's a BB. He's a good dude. And you named him Lou. Don't really know why he names him Lou. Maybe because he had a son he was going to name Lou. Doesn't really matter. But the point is that they get you really attached to this little dude. They do a really good job of making him do cool little things, like you'll do a cool trick on your motorcycle and he's like, thumbs up, man. Or, he'll do little flips in his pod, blow little heart bubbles. But either way, they manage to make you connected enough that halfway through the game, when they take him away from you, you feel it. And the ghosts are now invisible, everything sucks, and you want him back. And after a little while, you get him back. And that's a really cool feeling. And I just realized that I'm never going to be back in non-spoiler territory. Holy shit. I will eventually, maybe. We'll see. You get the BB back, and you go through the rest of the game with him, and at the very end of the game, the big gut punch is at the very final mission, and they ask you to go incinerate your BB in the same place you incinerated the body of your mother. The reason being is because the BB is now not responding. Turns out that he's gone past his expiry date, and that's it for this little guy. The music in this game is always good when it comes in, but that moment they have this song start playing as you're going up the mountain, trying to get your little BB to safety. It's the song that was sung by your father, singing to you when you were a little baby, and it's just this haunting singing, this haunting tone, eventually undercut by this sort of throbbing retro style synth bassy stuff. And as you crest these mountains, these orchestral sort of bits come in as well, and it just really pushes you up the mountain towards a fate that you don't even know if you want yet. You gotta go incinerate this guy, or are you gonna save him? I don't know, but you're not having it. You decide that you want to take him out of his pod and raise him as your own, just like your mom did for you. So, all that being said, after a very long cutscene, and a very tense moment where you see the slab being lowered into the incinerator, last second, he reaches out and takes the little BB pod, cracks it open like a Kinder Egg surprise, and you try to resuscitate him, and you see him pressing on his little chest, pulling on his little toesies, trying to do a little CPR, until eventually he comes to, and you've got a little baby boy. And that entire sequence was worth the game for me. It's the one moment of this game that works better than anything else, and I think the pacing issues that you have to deal with to get there, it makes it all worth it if you get to the end. And that's where we have to talk about pacing. Welcome back, everybody. If you weren't watching the spoilers, this is where we're back together, guys. We've connected. A lot like everything in Death Stranding. Good job. The pacing in this game is, how I say, completely atrocious, terrible. I played the game for a few hours and immediately bounced off myself, even though I was so excited to play it. The reason being is because at the beginning of the game, it is punishing. It gives you nothing. You don't have an exoskeleton. You fall over on everything. It doesn't matter if you scan the ground. Tripping is just a fact of life. The mules themselves beat the shit out of you relentlessly, and you've got no tools to really deal with it. So there's a lot of problems at the beginning of the game. If you get past that part and you start using all the tools at your disposal, you start really getting into the systems, the mid section of this game is really fun and really rewarding. And then right at the end of the game, once you've got through all that stuff and you're like, oh, this is kind of jiving, this is pretty good, cutscene after cutscene after cutscene, terrible long boss fights where you don't do anything but just shoot the same guy for friggin' 10 minutes. Not good. So you end up with a game that has a really rough start, a fun middle, a really, really rough ending, but it's too late to stop now and you kind of have to just go through it, and then an incredibly rewarding ending. So, all being said, pacing is a huge problem. I think one of the biggest problems this game faces. So, that's it. That's why I think this game, at moments, is a masterpiece. But lots of other times, it's completely terrible. It's both. It's both. And that's why all the reviewers, they were right. And this is the definitive review, so I'm definitely right. This game has some of the most beautiful visual scenery I've ever seen in a game. The ambiance and the music makes it an even richer, more fulfilling experience. The storyline and the beats and plots eventually become very rewarding as well. Emotionally, my wife cried, not gonna lie. It will be worth it for some people to get to that point, and it won't be worth it for many others. And that is what's really tragic about this game. I really wish that it was more engaging, especially in the middle portion, and a little bit easier to sort of digest at the end. just so that more people could have this experience instead of bouncing off the way that I think many will. But hey, what do you think? Go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Engage, engage, engage. Do all the things. But anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you again soon. Graybeard, out.